Big campuses, including university campuses, often have a large network of underground utility tunnels. Its main goal is usually to carry the steam produced by a central plant to various buildings around the property in order to provide heat. That is where the name steam tunnels come from. In addition to steam, various other networks may be laid out, such as computer links, telephony cables, high voltage power, water supply pipes, sewers, and more. It is important to differentiate the pedestrian tunnels from the utility tunnels. The pedestrian tunnels, as the name suggests, freely allows anyone to enter and walk from one building to another, whilst sheltering from the elements. On the other hand, utility tunnels are only for utility lines exclusively, with the occasional maintenance worker. Some tunnels are a hybrid of the two, providing pedestrian access whilst also carrying utility lines. In this video, we'll explore a few steam tunnels across North America. Disclaimer: do not enter a steam tunnel without authorization. Dangers such as leaking pipes can be lethal. Extreme temperature variations can occur. Older temperatures have asbestos insulation. Additionally, there may be a high presence of carbon monoxide, methane, and black mold. Help is not readily available. There is no cellular coverage as you are underground. Visiting the tunnels is extremely dangerous. You have been warned. McGill is a prestigious Anglophone university located in Montreal. It is equally one of the oldest universities in Canada, as it is founded in the early 1800s, which entails possibly one of the oldest campus tunnel network. In this segment, we'll be following the adventures of a group known as Urban Exploration Montreal, or UEM. I won't be narrating their entire descent into the abyss. Rather, I will be sharing a few highlights. I don't want to steal their spotlight. I would rather you experience their full project on their website, uem.minimanga.com/occupied/McGill/tunnels. There was much to discover. The group visited the campus regularly for months, and in the end, still hasn't explored everything. The McGill main campus tunnel network contains 4 sections: Central, South, Mid-North, and North, with the addition of reservoir tunnels and residence tunnels. Sometime before 2004, the group entered the tunnels. The first time they entered the tunnels was during lunch hour, through an opened door. After traveling through the central tunnels for a bit, they thought they triggered a motion detector, then ran back to where they came from, towards the exit. At the same time, voices came from that very exit, so they had to turn around, run, and hop out of an opened manhole cover, whilst trying to not attract attention from dumbfounded pedestrians outside. It was quite an amusing experience for the group. In the next few visits, the crew managed to descend in a much more incognito manner and was able to tour the tunnels freely. Within the central tunnels, they found their way into a machinery room. After a bit more walking and crawling around, another mechanical room appeared, along with some graffiti. Perhaps they weren't the only ones exploring. Eventually, they faced a dead end filled with junk in some crawl space nearby. The southern tunnels seem to be much more modern. Aside from organized pipes and cabling, it was also not as hot. There seemed to be a climate control system down there. Unfortunately, the comfortable segment had to end, and the uncomfortable hot segment began. But after a while, they finally hit a dead end. And now for the Mid-North tunnels. A mix of old and new. Eventually, they find a wall filled with graffiti. They were indeed not the only tunnel explorers on campus. At one point, they even found a headlamp hanging around. Here's some old asbestos insulation. Eventually, the group reached a segment they nicknamed the Road to Hell. It's tight, hot, and airless. It's kind of fun after the fact, but while you're there, you have to be careful or you'll start feeling lightheaded from the oxygen deprivation. The road to hell goes on for a long time before there's a place you can rest. Under this manhole, the oxygen level is slightly better, but not by much. The conditions were really rough, but they marched on. Eventually, they found their way out, and later got into a machinery room. At one point, a nice vent into a garden provided them well-needed oxygen. That was the Mid-North tunnels. The North tunnels contained graffiti from 1995, not very recent. After advancing further down, they were met with a tiny crawl space. Undeterred, they crawled on, descended even further below, and found more tunnels, which led to another mechanical room. There was a working fan pointed at some electrical equipment. Loud buzzing was heard within the room. There were also the reservoir tunnels and the residence tunnels. The reservoir tunnels were quite damp and crusty, but once they found the reservoir, they were in for a treat. A very delicious mineral treat, with loud pumps. The residence tunnels looked similar to the other tunnels, with tight spaces and machinery rooms. It was such an interesting experience looking at these tunnels as an outsider. To think of all the infrastructure underground necessary to keep a campus up and running. Again, if you want to see the entire story, as I skipped a lot of details, I'd recommend you to visit UEM's website for more. York University from Toronto is one of the largest Canadian campus with over 50,000 students. Big campus means big tunnel system, and that is exactly what the late urban explorer legend Ninjalicious wanted to explore. This adventure is available on his website infiltration.org/utility-10tanda.html. Once again, I won't be narrating the entire experience, and would redirect you to his webpage. For further reading, I'd recommend borrowing his book Access All Areas from your local library and open on page 187. There is a really fascinating segment about finding a window into the pool. This is how the steam tunnels looked like in the late 90s. Unfortunately, there is no video available, but there are a few pictures and a lot of textual descriptions. One of the steam tunnel entrances is an unlocked door located in the pedestrian tunnel. That part of the steam tunnel is one of the best maintained areas, with okay lighting and good temperature control. During his first visit, Ninja was accompanied by his local guide Pablo, a student. Along a junction, various graffiti from past explorers aided with directions. Other writings were left by past Dungeons and Dragon players, which seemed to be a common trait amongst tunnels throughout North America. The players, I mean, not necessarily the D&D related graffitis. Another trait of the York steam tunnels were these emergency escapes, which seemed to lead to the outside. After marching through a very long stretch of an unlit tunnel, they found their way to the physical plant, the place where the steam is generated. Only after we finally succeeded in reaching the physical plant building did it occur to Pablo and I that it was also the home base for all the employees who work in the tunnels. We snuck into one of the large engine rooms for quick pictures of some of the mammoth machinery. We also noticed recently extinguished cigarettes, half of someone's dinner, and several large buckets labeled sulfuric acid, all of which indicated to us that the room probably wouldn't be empty for long. Sometime later, the duo entered the so-called ice caves, which consisted of a cooling vent and was rather disappointing. Afterwards, they found their way into another mechanical room through an unlit tunnel. After accidentally making some noise and realizing that the room was staffed, they had to make a run for it back into the unlit tunnels. Other tourist attractions they visited included the tar pits and Echo Valley, which were mostly not as advertised. Once again, I encourage you to read the webpage to get the full experience, as I left out a lot of details in this video. What I find interesting about York University is that the steam tunnels seem to be probably well known amongst certain students, with some areas of the network having their own informal tourist names. And with that, let's move on to the next campus. The University of Guelph is located in the city of Guelph, approximately 60 kilometers away from Toronto, in Ontario. It has a rather large campus, with over 30,000 students enrolled. I found this reupload on YouTube where a pair of students found their way into the system. Aside from the occasional graffiti and unlit areas, I gotta say, the Guelph tunnels are really nice compared to the other tunnels we have explored so far. The machinery rooms are clean and well lit, as well as the tunnels themselves. Eventually, the duo found their way into a dark and unlit segment, which led to a dead end.
Chem 30 pounds of chemistry. Charge your phone. It's a good spot. Dude, holy shit. That's the dead body. Yep. Charge your phone there? Is that dead end?
On the wall, a pipe protrudes out.
GE 13. What the fuck? Is that a beer bottle? No, I think it's a beer bottle.
Oh yeah, it is.
God. Take a sip.
Take a sip.
What company is it?
Is this like super old on there? That's cool though. Okay, well we'll just put that back. Holy fuck! Ew. Oh my god, I'm infected, dude.
Eventually, they find their way out through a manhole. Ultimately, this was one of the most uneventful tunnel explorations so far, but it was nonetheless entertaining. Université Laval. Université Laval is a renowned university located in Quebec City. Historical roots dates it back to the 1600s, making it one of the oldest higher education institutions of North America. However, its current campus dates back to the 1950s, and its tunnel system approximately the 1970s. In total, there's approximately 10 kilometers of tunnels. About 4 of them are accessible to the public, being either strictly pedestrian tunnels or hybrid tunnels. The rest are steam tunnels. Unfortunately, I do not have much to show you. Université Laval is the odd one out. Unlike McGill, York, Guelph, and dozens upon dozens of other campuses, the Laval steam tunnels do not seem to have an internet presence. This mechanical room seemed to be the only alleged picture of the Forbidden Tunnel. Alongside this video allegedly taken within the pedestrian tunnel, we see a person opening an unmarked door which leads into darkness. And they close the door. We may not be able to see the steam tunnels, but we can at least speculate on its contents. Several doors underground have bright red warning signs indicating the presence of asbestos. If these doors lead into the steam tunnels, and if asbestos is of concern, we can possibly infer that some pipes still have their original insulation from the 70s. This description does not match the squeaky clean and brightly lit modern mechanical room picture we saw earlier. But upon closer examination of official campus pictures promoting itself, we do see several mechanical rooms with similar conditions. Though, of course, we have to take these photographs with a grain of salt, given these are official images and the photographer probably picked the most modern mechanical room on campus for the shoot, which may not reflect the conditions of the entire network. One question we may ask is, why are the steam tunnels so poorly documented? Perhaps the campus does have top-notch security, or maybe security through obscurity. What truly lies beyond the pedestrian and hybrid tunnels? We may never know. I can go on about so many other campuses. The University of Wisconsin-Madison has its own fair share of legends. MIT also comes to mind. Columbia University in New York, New York has so much information that a Wikipedia article is dedicated to it. The underground world of educational institutions and other large campuses is a fascinating one, encompassing real dangers, urban legends, and a lot of mysteries. Thank you for watching, and happy Halloween! 4 months in advance.